The purpose of striking a balance is to enjoy the best of both worlds without having to compromise. When it comes to a love of food and the necessity to be a healthy weight, how do we find balance? On today's episode, we're talking with Andrew from Sydney, Australia, about how he manages this precarious tightrope. Andrew, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Andrew and I have been, it's Lovoni here, Andrew and I have been friends for over about 30 years, I figured out, after he rescued my friend and me from one of his drunk friends in a club in Sydney. And apart from similar values, what Andrew and I have shared over the years is our love for good food and wine, to the point of swearing we'd never date anyone who didn't have a love for good food, or wine for that matter. Now we're both married, so it doesn't matter. Now Andrew's a big guy, stands 6'2", and he's broad, so he can carry excess weight when he has, some on him, and still look great. In the years I've known Andrew, I've seen his weight go up and down, but he's seen mine just go up, really, since I moved abroad. So, I've seen you lose a lot of weight over the years, and, everybody always wants to know how people do it when they do it. So that's what we're going to pick your brain about today. When you want to lose weight, do you devise a plan or a strategy when you need to shed some kilos? How's that? Some kilos.
Yes.
Or do you just do it in true guy form? Do you just do it?
I have used some intervention in the past and some lifestyle changes. My biggest weight gaining factor is beer.
Right.
And I'm the sort of person where one beer is too many and 100's not enough. So I do like to drink a lot, but it's the snacking that goes with the beers that are the killer, and that you notice it quite significantly and earlier. What am I trying to say here? I notice it quite quickly that if I've had a period of time where I've been drinking, that it does affect me, and I do gain weight quickly. I get bloated, and I do gain weight very quickly.
Sorry, Sarah.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you feel like that goes to a specific place on your body? So some men in particular, but I know when they drink beer, they feel that their tummy gets substantially bigger, or do you feel like you gain it all over? Is it just a general weight gain?
No, around the middle and around the face.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
you get fuller in the face. Yeah. So my strategies usually are that portion control, and I cut the beer out. I'll have the occasional wine or a spirit on ice, but I generally just cut the beer out of the equation altogether.
It's amazing how beer does that. When I'm at, Lawrence is a vodka drinker, my husband's a vodka drinker, and but when we first got married, he was drinking beer pretty much every night, and he put on a lot of weight. He blamed my food, but then he decided to stop drinking beer, and he lost 45 pounds. So 20 kilos, whatever.
Yeah. But did he do the same as Andrew just described? Did he have snacks with it as well? So is it the beer? Or
I don't think. No, he wasn't. He was not snacks.
It's the beer, but it's usually you have chips or crisps, whatever you like to call it, to go with it. And it's nothing for me to eat a big packet of chips while I'm having beers, particularly watching sport. So that's a big killer.
I remember when Ben was born, when your eldest was, just for everybody, when Andrew's eldest son was born, my parents and I went over to see him, and we had, I think you asked us if we wanted to drink. We're like, yeah. And Andrew decided, he was like, no, I'm not having one because I'm off the beer. Now I'm a dad. I'm going to be good. And I remember saying to Mum and John, wonder how long that'll last. But
it didn't last very long. I was very mindful because a newborn baby is quite delicate, and I was very mindful of the fact that you can be quite heavy-handed when you've got a few under your belt.
Right.
So I was very, very paranoid about changing a nappy and breaking a leg.
Dropping him.
Do you find that? But now that, because now you've got two teenage boys, that your mindset changed towards your health, like being a dad?
It did. Because not as much now as it used to. Like when the kids were around the 10 mark, and they were finding their way in sport, and I was heavily involved with their sport. I had to keep mobile to keep up with them. I was coaching their football teams, so having weight loss or losing weight and controlling weight was really important because I just had to make sure that I could keep up with them. And as a fellow who's played contact sport, my knees aren't the best. So the heavier I get, the worse my knees get. So I have to keep that in mind all the time. But when Barney mentioned coming around when my first one was born, my weight gain, I actually gained a lot of weight when I first had kids. And I attribute that to the fact that every time someone came to visit the house, they bought a cake because they wanted to see the baby. And you ended up putting a lot of weight. And you're sitting around with the kids.
You were just being polite.
That's right. But you sit around with everyone, and the kids aren't active yet. They just, it's like a gelatinous mass with bones. They don't do much at that age, and then you're not that active, so you become less active with them. So trying to change your mindset and trying to become more active and getting involved in what they do is very important, and you need to control your weight to do that as well.
So Andrew's,
do you think that's a big factor? I was to say, Lovoni, do you think that's a big factor? You've talked about being active and moving a lot. So for you, is that one of the biggest drivers then? If you're not being active, then that's when you feel like you start to gain weight.
Is that for Andrew?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But I feel it in myself. I feel I've got to go for a walk. Like I've gone from a role where I've been on the tools. I'm a plumber by trade, so I've been on the tools most of my life, and I'm in a role now where I actually work from home for the first time in my life, and I do find it quite because I'm so static now that I need to get up and move. So I get to a point. If I haven't walked for a couple of days, I feel awful, and I've got to go out for a walk. Yeah. I've got to get out. I don't run anymore. I'm too old for that. My knees don't allow me to do that anymore. But walking's really important to me, and a bit of cycling. Just to keep the body moving.
Well, and mentally, it's so good. That's why I like exercising, because mentally, I just feel so good. Yesterday, I did 90 minutes, which is a bit more than I normally do, but I kept reaching a point thinking, I'll just go on to the next point, And, the rest of my day, I just was getting shit done. I felt good. My food was good. It's amazing how it sets you, the exercise part sets you up. Because when I emigrated to the US, you have to go through all these health checks, and the doctor there's only certain doctors you can see that they will send people to. And I remember the doctor saying to me, I didn't have near as much weight to lose then, but he said, well, nutrition is 80% of it. And I think that was a mindset for a long time that people have. But I think exercise is massive. It really is. And, and I think I could tell myself that nutrition was the food was 80% of it back when I didn't have good knees. But now I have new knees and I can do a lot more. I'm like, oh no, exercise plays a really big role, especially if you like food. If you want to eat and eat good food. Create that balance. Yeah, to create that balance. I was going to ask you, Andrew, because Andrew's a really good cook, and you like.
I had a lot of help though
over the years. But you like to cook too. But he does.
Yeah. But to let you on a little secret, years ago when I first met Barney, I was living out of home, and my repertoire revolved around bacon and egg rolls
and barbecue.
And barbecues,
but Rosalind
I never knew how to
helped
put a salad together or anything like that. So,
Mum,
if a barbecue was starting at 6 o'clock, I'd tell Barney it was 4:30, and get her to make the salads for me.
Right. Or Mum would help, or your mum would help. Yeah. Hey, yeah. But
I did learn a lot, and I've always I like eating. And if you like eating, you got to like cooking. But I think being creative in the kitchen is really important too. Keeping the variety.
But tell us about the thing that you do with the salamis that you make.
So I go away. I've been away. This is my 11th year this year of doing it. I've got some friends who live in central New South Wales, down towards the Riverina area.
Like out in the country
which is,
sort of area.
if you know the geography of New South Wales in Australia, the Riverina area is just slightly beyond and north of Canberra, which is our capital.
And we grow oranges and rice. Oranges and rice.
Oh, not that far down, but yeah, that's where the recipe came from. That came from the Griffith region, which is a bit further on. But I've got some friends who came from the Griffith region, moved to Canberra. They made salami with the Italian community down there, and they said, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice to be able to make salami again?" And they said, "Well, we know how to do it. We've done it for years. Let's do it." So a group of us, 18 of us, go down there every year, and we buy 3 pigs, and we do everything from the slaughter through to the manufacturing of salami. And then last year we made about 220 kilos of salami and about 90 kilos of sausages. So, and we just divvy it up amongst ourselves.
And how long are you there for doing that for?
So we slaughter on the Friday and there's salami by Saturday night.
No, that quick?
Yeah, and then it's got to hang, it's got to cure. So it'll cure depending on the weather. If we get a good, dry, cold winter, it'll be about 6 to 7 weeks. And if it's a bit humid and a bit warmer, we'll do it for about 8 or 9 weeks. And if there's a lot of humidity in the air, we have to sort of change our techniques and light fires under it to keep the atmosphere quite dry, because you get a lot of mould on the casings.
Yeah.
Yeah, which has led us into other things too. It's led us into the smoky flavour through the salami was very nice, so we enjoyed that. So we experimented with that for a couple of years and soaked hickory chips in bourbon and got a bourbon hickory smoke through the salami.
Like, that's pretty hardcore doing all that, though.
That is hardcore, particularly from the whole start to finish.
Right.
Yeah, we had one occasion down there when I got there a day earlier and there was a deer that made its way through the property, so we put it to rest and
had venison as well.
And we added the pig fat to the venison, because you need fat in the salami, so we added the pig fat to the venison to make venison salami.
And how did that taste?
Beautiful.
Was it?
Beautiful.
I've never eaten venison.
Oh, you haven't? It's good.
No, I've never tried it.
It's not. I don't find it overly strong. It's not as strong as the taste of lamb.
It's like kangaroo.
Right, she's probably not
had eaten kangaroo.
Oh, you have?
Oh,
well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
kangaroo is a difficult meat to cook, and because there's no fat in it, and if you're cooking a steak, it's really just over searing it. If you cook it too much, it's tough as old boot leather. So,
do you eat it a lot?
It's become more and more available in the regular supermarkets here in Australia.
Right.
So I do from time to time. They sell pre-packaged steaks and mince, and it used to be dog meat years ago when I was a kid, but now everyone's eating it because it's clean, it's lean, and it's got the Heart Smart tick of approval sticker all over it, so it must be good for you.
It's good for you.
Yeah, and it's a cheaper alternative too.
Yeah. Australia eat both the animals on their national emblem. Like
the national coat of arms,
yeah, and coat of arms, the emu and the kangaroo. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so emu tastes very much like lamb or goat.
It's a bit stronger.
Oh, okay.
And it's really dark, isn't it?
You know, like duck's quite a steaky looking meat rather than a chickeny looking, like a white meat like chicken. It's got that same sort of appearance.
Right.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I think I've accidentally eaten goat before, because when we were in Africa we were served a chicken which was definitely not chicken. You know, when you look at goat and you just think, that was never anywhere near a chicken, and I think that was goat then, but it was nice. It was in a stew that they made. We were in a coffee plantation and things, so we didn't want to be rude. We just ate what they gave us then, but I think I had goat then.
Curry goat's good.
I don't know if I'm trying to think if I've had it anymore. I don't think I have.
If you've had it since.
Goat's quite readily available too now, because we've got quite a large Middle Eastern community not far from where I live. There's a big Middle Eastern enclave, for want of a better term, and a lot of the butcher shops that they have, because they like the halal meats, they sell a lot of goat as well. Not that that's necessarily halal, but they do eat a lot of goat. And I do find it for, particularly for like an Irish stew, for example.
Yes.
When you cook an Irish stew, you boil your meat up, and then you've got to let it cool, skim the fat out of it, and then continue on. But with goat, it's just a one-pot process. You don't need to let it cool because there's no fat in it. It's very lean.
Fatty. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
that's good for you for doing your Irish stew like that. I just make it and eat it.
Oh, no.
Fat lamb, fat and all.
Yeah, because I do go camping a lot, and quite often I'll cook for the masses when we camp. So rather than having to go spend a whole day at a pot, I just buy goat, don't tell anyone, and they think it's beautiful. So I'll wait till they're finished to tell them it's goat, and I think, well, that's nice. I'll eat that again. So,
hey, one thing that this is a big downfall for me when I'm cooking, which I do a lot, is I eat things. So if I'm cutting up, say, cheese to grate, you always cut off a piece and stick it in your mouth, and do you find when you cook you do that? That you just, sample pieces? I reckon I've had 500 calories before I've even eaten dinner sometimes.
Yeah, I'm full before I start dinner. But I mentioned to you earlier that I used a bit of intervention. So when I went through a significant period where I lost a lot of weight, but I went on a program here called Light and Easy. So they do calorie control pre-packaged foods. So you can do a 1,200, a 1,500 or an 1,800 calorie package. And I went on that, and just for that very reason, I was eating a lot. The kids wouldn't finish their dinner, so I'd finish it. And while I was cooking, I would pick at things. And,
right. What you did that while you were on the
No. I did that
on it.
Because
I went on that for that very reason, to avoid it, and just stayed very strict to it. But I didn't drink the whole time I was on it. I did exercise quite extensively, but I found that I lost the weight too quickly. So I think there's a lot of truth in what I say. The quicker you lose it, the quicker you put it back on.
How much did you lose? Do you remember?
Yeah, I lost 27 kilos in 4 months.
Okay. 27 kilos. So what's that? That's about 50 pounds, is it?
That's about 50.
More. So that's more than 50 pounds.
No, I went from 291 pounds to 230, about 220 pounds.
Wow, in 4 months.
But I looked like I had HIV.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, when you lose it fast like that.
Yeah, but I was really gaunt. I didn't, and it had a few effects I didn't really anticipate. I felt lethargic. I didn't have the energy I used because I think because I wasn't eating what I used to eat, so I became quite lethargic and I didn't look good. I just looked. People were comfortable in the street that I hadn't seen for a while, and they thought I had cancer or AIDS. So it had, and my blood pressure went up. So go figure.
Seriously, did it really?
Yeah. It went through the roof. So I thought I was doing myself a favour. So it's not that I'm trying to deter anyone from doing it, but
right.
I was quite gobsmacked by it, So.
And then you say because you had lost it so fast, you put it on.
I did put
quickly.
It back on. Yeah. So I went from I got down to 102 kilos. So just to let you know, I left school at 16. I was 98 kilos when I left school at 16. Mm-hmm. So I always say that I was destined for greatness at some stage, and I've surely proven that point. But I think at my ideal weight's around the 110 kilo mark.
Okay.
It's funny you saying that because, Lawrence was doing, still does intermittent fasting, but he was just working out like an absolute, I don't know, crazy demon. Guy, just a demon, yeah. But now with the summer, he does a lot more stuff outside. But there were nights where I look at him and think, God, you look like you're about 80. And I think because he did seem to lose it quite fast, not necessarily because of the intermittent fasting, but I think because he was exercising so much. But now he just looks well. It's sort of, I don't know, something stabilised or something.
Yeah, I know people that have been on the shake diet, so the Cambridge diet over here, so they've just had such a low calorie intake every day by just drinking the shakes. And my God, it works. It definitely gets the weight off.
It does, yeah.
But they went the same thing. They went really gaunt. And also there's that contrast. You're not used to them looking that way. If they've been really big and then you sort of suddenly see them, the shock is quite strong, isn't it, when you see them looking small? Anyway, and then what they seem to have done, a lot of people put it all back on again. So I know people have then completely gone the other way and gained it all back, which is a real shame because it's hard work just drinking those shakes. This is not an easy thing to do. But what...
Joyless.
it's just, I mean, it's the commitment is crazy.
Yeah.
But what some of them have done, and hats off to them, is they have gained a little, but just seem to have settled, like you said, Andrew, in that kind of happy weight sort of position.
Yeah.
So it kind of did the job for them. They got rid of all the extra, and they have now they did need to put a little bit back on, but they found their happy weight. But do you find when you've gained weight, do you think it's because you've had a bit of an emotional connection with food, so you've turned to food as a bit of a crutch, or is it just simply something that's accidentally crept on because of a lifestyle habit?
It's definitely lifestyle, but I'm one, I love, like, if something tastes good, I could be as full as a state school and still eat more because like, it tastes nice, you know, and I like that. I like that feeling when something tastes nice and I go, oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
I'll have some more. So like I'm especially, you know, if you go to a dinner party or you go to a friend's house and they've got a huge thing of nuts and cheeses and dips, and I love trying. I'll try everything. I won't just have a couple of bits and be satisfied. I've got to go back, and I've got to be really, really mindful of what I'm doing. And you can fall back into that scene very easily, especially not so much now. I think, I mean, I'm lucky, for want of a better term, because a lot of my friends are quite busy with their families at the moment. So the whole get-together and dinner party type of arrangements dried off significantly of late.
Mm-hmm.
So, and particularly through COVID, I don't know what happened over your neck of the woods, but we had pretty much 2 years of lockdown. So
yeah, it went over a year and a half, basically.
Yeah. So that changed everyone as far as what they did. So we did it dried it all up. So yeah, if it's there, I'll eat it.
Right. Okay.
As long as it's good.
You don't ever feel like an emotional sort of thing. You know, if you're feeling low or fed up, would you turn to food then, or that's not something that happens?
Oh, if I'm a bit pleased to be I used to smoke too, so
okay.
I'll find I will turn to something. I'll go, well, annoyed about something. I'll go make a coffee and have a peanut butter sandwich or something, which I don't need, but I like the taste of it. And
it's
when you feel
soothing
good
or
while you have
comforting.
Yeah. Or I'll go and eat some garbage food. I might go and eat, or I don't know if I can mention company names, but we'll have a certain.
You can. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't mind KFC. My son worked there for a while, Kentucky Fried Chicken. We call it KFC over here.
Yeah.
And I'll have it, and I'll feel good for about 15 minutes after having it, and then I feel quite awful for about 2 hours after. So.
Do you have the guilt? Do you have any, like, that guilt feeling when you either haven't exercised or when you've just eaten what you consider to be, like, crap? Like, do you suffer guilt from it?
Yeah, I always have something bad, then I'll say, right, start Monday. Yeah. But the problem is I don't actually tell myself which Monday. I just say Monday.
a random one in the future.
That's been my downfall for ages, because when I'd be like, okay, well, I'll eat this now, and then I will, and then I'll start on Monday.
Yeah.
And so it's just really an excuse just to eat whatever, you want, just to go hog wild with it. And then Monday comes and you can manage, like, 4 hours, and that's it. Yeah. And so had you not done that beforehand, you put on 5 pounds before you start a diet.
Yeah, my Monday came about 5 weeks ago. I went to a festival in Sydney called Meat Stock, which is the Woodstock of barbecuing in it's a festival they have all around Australia, and it's all smoked meats and jerkies and salamis and that sort of arrangement, and Brazilian barbecue. So it's quite a really well run thing. But they put quite well known bands on and beers, and I've been the last 2 years with mates, but we had 1,000 beers and I ate too much meat. I didn't eat. I think the only bit of vegetable I had was a bit of parsley garnish on a piece of meat the whole night. And I just thought, okay, this Monday's it. So since then, I haven't had a drink, and I've sort of started just portion controlling. So as a start, we've got pre-packaged porridge satchels that are one serving. which is what's deemed to be one serving, which I would probably have 3 of them normally. But I had that for breakfast, and I find it does sustain me, so that kicks me off for the day. Yeah. And I haven't really changed much what I eat at night. I've just been a bit more careful during the day because I'm not active, but I've taken nearly 5 kilos off since then. So
since this is last Monday?
I'm trying.
No, 5 weeks.
No, 5 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, so okay. Why would I? No, I was going to go. I hate you. Seriously? Yeah. God.
No.
No. Well done.
I mentioned I lost a leg.
Right. Well done. 5 kilos. That's awesome.
It is funny when you talk about that portion though, because I can remember one of the first times that I sort of used my half cup scoop to measure out the porridge oats in my bowl. And I sort of looked down into the bottom of the bowl. Like, I think someone's made a mistake.
Yeah.
What, are you joking? But actually, to be fair, by the time you've added some nuts, some fruit, all that sort of thing, it does actually fill me up. Although, if someone had asked me at the beginning, I would have told them that they're having a laugh. I mean, there's just no way.
Yeah.
About a quarter of what I would normally have. Because you normally just sort of tip the packet, don't you? Go, yeah, that's
but
right.
you forget how much it expands, though.
You do. And you forget that your tummy has expanded, or your stomach has expanded because of how much you're eating, and actually you don't need that much. And so when you retrain the portion control, isn't it funny that then if you then have a big meal, how overfull you feel so quickly, whereas you knew that a few months back you could have eaten that without even batting an eyelid.
That's right.
You do retrain your body, don't you?
Yeah. Interesting though, because my usual routine, I used to have a pint of water when I got out of bed in the morning.
So that's 600 mils. Yeah,
600 mils.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
Then I'd get the kids ready, then I'd have my breakfast. But I think that big gush of 600 mil just expanded my stomach, and then it made more room.
Oh,
so so I have a smaller glass, and I drink more water during the day in smaller quantities, and just sip a bottle rather than drinking one lot of water straight away.
Yeah.
And I found that's helped too, because I think that just adds to the expansion and creates more room that your mind thinks you have to fill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you think, okay, I need to get some weight off, and then because I know for some people that they think diet or I need to lose weight, like it automatically means deprivation. Like, do you look at it like that, or do you think, no, I can come up with some great ideas for, with some nutrient dense food? I mean, do you think like it's an awful thing to have to do to, or it's hard to diet?
No, I find I cut certain things out, or I substitute. So I find if I eat a lot of bread, I put weight on. If I eat a lot of pasta, I put weight on. And I think, beer's in that category as well.
Yeah.
Rice. So I changed my rice to brown rice, and I reduced my portions, and I'll cut bread out and I'll have wraps or I'll use the low GI breads, and I'll reduce, instead of having 2 sandwiches. I must admit, I've come from, because I've been on the tools and I've been working physically, I was capable of eating more because I was burning it off. Now I'm not. And I'm sitting on my backside working at a desk now. I find that I still want to eat the same, but I'm not burning it off. So I've just, it's a reduction and just changing in how I eat. And I find that works. It does work. But what I was trying to get at before about the, when my Monday arrived, I'm trying to be very mindful about a slow weight loss rather than a sudden weight loss. So I'm sort of looking at trying to lose 10 kilos by the end of the year rather than 10 kilos in a month.
Yeah.
And trying to do it without racing it off by excessive exercise and crash diets. Just sort of moderate what I eat, reduce what I'm drinking, and let it come off slowly.
Making it more, it more sustainable.
Yeah, but if I want to have a packet of nuts, just have a couple rather than the whole packet.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Because it's habitual.
Yeah, and do you find now that you're at home, because both Lovoni and I are both people obviously self-employed, we work at home and spend a lot of time on our own, the kitchen is literally just a few steps away. Do you think that's changed things for you? So when you were working out on the job before, obviously you had the food that you took with you, and that's probably pretty much although you might have taken a bit more because obviously you're active. Now, has it changed anything, the fact it's so accessible, or have you got quite a good control when it comes to that?
At first, I didn't have the control. Like I was, knocking up a steak sandwich for lunch and cooking more for lunch. And I thought, because I've got an hour for lunch, so I did get a bit more creative for lunch, and I enjoyed that at first because you've had 35 years of sandwiches and sitting on an esky for lunch, so it was a nice and pleasant change. But I just found, hang on. They call it the public service spread here. So you sort of go to a government, my job's semi-government type of arrangement. So the public service spreads when you've gone from an active job to an inactive job and you just blow out. So, yeah.
But it's quite a standard situation particularly for sports people, isn't it? The fact that they've had to have such a high calorie intake because of their burn, because of the sport that they're doing on a regular basis, and then that profession stops because they've reached an age or an injury, whatever it might be, but they haven't moderated their calorie intake. They're still taking in that same because that's what they're used to, and so quickly they gain weight because of course their body just doesn't need that much anymore. And I think that's quite difficult to manage, that change of mindset from when you're, like you described, eating the same amount that you would normally have had when you were out on your feet all day.
That's right.
It is difficult, but then that's a conscious decision, isn't it? Because your appetite's probably still the same.
Yeah.
Mine would be. I'm like, well, I'm used to eating all that and that's what I still want to eat. So you've got to make that conscious decision not to do it because you don't want to gain weight. But that's a mindset thing, isn't it, rather than anything else?
Yeah. Yeah, and I find them. You get creative. And you have these moments of creativity, and you want to make something exotic, or you want to do something, and you get a bit carried away with it, and you end up, you're consuming a lot more. I like to be a bit creative in the kitchen, and that does add to the weight gain.
Yeah.
Is it something that you? Last week we did an episode on mind power. It's sort of what you think about, you bring about, that type of thing, and how the mind is so powerful that you can bend either way. And so when it comes to losing weight or just being overweight, it's all consuming for me. It's pretty much all I think about. Well, it's not all I think about, but I think about it all day, during my day.
Regularly, yeah.
Does that happen? Does that happen for you? I just wondered if it's a guy thing, or is it a woman thing where they, just constantly overthink things? Yeah, and we
I don't obsess over it. I don't obsess. Only if I've got my old jeans on and they don't fit anymore, I'm a bit worried about it, but.
Well, you got to lie down on the bed and use a coat hanger to do them up.
No.
That's something blokes can't do.
Right. Not comfortably, anyway.
No. No. Not unless you want to walk around showing the meat and potatoes for the rest of the day, anyway.
What's that called? Not moose toe.
Is that what they call it?
Moose toe, yeah, because there's camel toe for the women and moose toe for the men.
Wow,
that's actually what Andrew. That's what Andrew's known by as moose, not because of that reason. No, it was a horrible teacher in his school that he taught him that started that, wasn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah.
No, it's because I used to get around in lycra shorts all the time. No.
I sent Sarah a message this is totally off subject, but speaking of that whole moose toe, camel toe thing, there is a lot of it when you travel, not the moose, but the camel. And I sent Sarah a message, and because I sat in Atlanta airport for 10 hours, I said, there's a lot of camel toe here. And she's
you were questioning the legging choice.
What, the legging choice? Yeah. Look in the mirror before you go, or sit down, then look in the mirror and see. Yeah. And she's like, what do you mean? So I found a picture online and sent it to her.
Graphic. Now I've got the idea.
See, I think that is my problem, not the camel toe. Definitely not.
Yes.
I like, longer tops.
Move on.
That just takes that away. But is that I obsess over it rather than just thinking, this is what I'm going to do, and then you just get on with it. And you don't obsess over it.
Yeah, but there's a fine balance between that, because then sometimes I don't think about it at all, and then I'll realise I've just not been doing anything towards my goal or my target. And so you've got to keep it in the front of your mind to some extent, because otherwise you're just going to carry on with your old habits and you won't make any progress. But then you don't want it to be so overwhelming that actually obsessive is the right word. That you are obsessing about it all the time, because I'm not sure that that's healthy either, is it? It's got to be somewhere in the middle.
I think because
you won't be happy.
Well, yeah,
and I think the lifestyle change that Andrew was describing, he's trying to change, or is changing his lifestyle, because by removing that really extreme target of 10 kilos in a month or something crazy, that's when the obsessiveness comes, because you're going to have to change everything immediately to try and even get anywhere near achieving that. If you give yourself this longer space to do it, then you can do things a bit more gently and and give yourself some time.
Create yourself small achievables.
I was just about to ask you that, if you do you like smaller goals, Yeah.
It's like I coached kids footy for a number of years, and a lot of the kids weren't very coordinated or weren't very engaged in the sport they played, but I just set them they had to do one thing in the game. I didn't care if we won or lost. That wasn't the point. It was about the kids having fun. But set each kid a goal based on their level of skills, and if they did it, they've achieved something. And I thought, well, maybe I can use that approach with myself, and just say, right, set myself some small achievables, and just keep rolling with it, rather than I've reached it now and then stop. Just keep rolling with it.
Right.
Set myself another smaller target.
I do that when I exercise. Sorry, Sarah.
I was just saying, is your goal really to try and then now create that this is your lifestyle, so you won't have to go through this process on a regular basis? Or in truth, do you think you will always be someone that perhaps has gained some, then needs to get rid of it again?
Well, I'd like to say it'd be a permanent thing, but I'm the sort of person who can walk past a pie shop and smell it through the door and put a stone on. So it's
it's not easy. And I think there are people in the world that's, I'm definitely someone that I can lose it quickly when I put my mind to it, but I can also gain it in a weekend as well. So I think there's some people that have got metabolisms like that, and some people that just seem to manage it and keep a lot more of a maintenance, don't they?
Yeah. And I think, because of lifestyle too, and not so much lifestyle, because of your time's not your own as a parent, and you spread quite thin for your own time. So you've got to sort of find another avenue to manage things.
Do you think age has made a difference for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think, because I'm not as there's things I used to be able to do that I can't do anymore, and I can't run anymore. And the problem with getting older is intention and ability get horribly confused. So, you want to go and do something, and then you're halfway through and you go, can't do this anymore. Who am I kidding? So you think you can do the things you did when you're younger, but you just got to start looking at different things to do that will give you the same result, but
like swimming,
like a lower impact, for argument's sake. Instead of running, walk or ride a bike or swim.
Yeah. I love, and see, to me, riding a bike and swimming aren't have to do exercises. They're just things that I enjoy, and I think that also makes a big difference.
Yeah,
choosing something.
And as you know, Vani, we're blessed with beautiful beaches here, so swimming, I could spend hours in the water.
Do not get Lovoni started about swimming in the sea, because we will be here for quite some time about the reasons why.
The sharks. I was fearless about that though when I was younger and growing up there, but I just watched too much Shark Week now, and that just didn't.
No, don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'd still go swimming back. I'd still go swimming at home. It's all a myth. It's all a myth.
Just paddle.
So,
Well,
okay.
most of the beaches in Sydney are protected by shark nets anyway.
Yeah, except for that one where the English guy got bitten in half, around Bondi.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so I have a question for you. So Andrew's wife, I don't think, has put on like a gram of weight since I have known her. So how does she
She'll love
do
you
it?
for that.
Well, she
She'll
always
love you.
looks the same. She always looks
She
amazing.
does.
So how does she do
Yeah.
that? Does she just have like amazing self-control?
Oh, she eats like mouse-sized portions.
But she loves food too. I mean,
She
doesn't
does,
she?
and she's
Yeah.
a good cook too.
Right.
Yeah, she does. But she's very mindful of quantity.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very.
So she has self-control.
Yeah. Like she with a lot of things. Like when we first started dating, we both smoked, and she said, "Well, we're going to have children." And she stopped, and I stopped for a while, then got back on them, and started, stopped. That's my biggest battle in my life is the nicotine addiction.
Oh, is that? Yeah.
But she's very, very strong. She hasn't touched them forever, but she got good willpower.
Right. Does she exercise too? She exercises as well.
No.
Oh, really?
No.
She just looks like that. I hate her.
Yeah, very rarely.
Wow. Well, she's
Like
probably
we
pretty
bought a dog.
active with the boys anyway.
No.
That's bullshit.
No, apart from standing on the sideline being a soccer mum, no.
Really?
No. Yeah.
Huh. So she just watches her portions.
Yeah, she's very,
Good for
very
her.
controlled with the portion. Yeah.
That's a huge part of it, really.
Yeah, just have a small amount of what you love.
Yeah. So you don't feel deprived. Because that's the thing, I think a lot of people is the whole deprivation. Something that I find interesting.
You know yourself though. Oh, sorry, I was going to say, you know yourself. Like you've cooked plenty in your time. Like Barney and I had a conversation recently about smoking meats. No one ever goes to a butcher shop or a supermarket and buys a 500-gram piece of brisket. It's always a big slab of meat, and it's cooked, and it's there in front of you, and it tastes delicious, and you just want to
keep
and
eating
it's Moorish.
Yeah.
Moorish foods, so it's very, very hard to avoid, but if you like the taste of it, and there's definitely a stimulant there that, yes, this tastes good, and I'm just going to keep hoeing into it till I fall over.
That's my problem. See, I won't eat like food that does not taste good or doesn't have a nice mouthfeel to me. Yeah. But if it's something that's good, I'm just like, I know I'm full, but I just got to stop.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot to do with the makeup of the person. I've got a really, really good mate of mine, and he eats only when he's hungry, and he won't eat anything you can't freeze and reheat. So he won't eat lettuce, that's a weed. Spinach, it's a weed. Won't eat any of that. He eats pies, sausage rolls. No.
Okay.
Derek's quite a good eater.
Okay.
No, it's a mate of mine, Dave. But,
sorry,
and
Derek.
he'll just eat. He eats rubbish.
Really?
Yeah, and drinks heaps, and no, not a problem for him.
Wow. He'll probably end up with something.
It's genetics, though, isn't it? Some of it. It's quite literally. You look at different shape women, but I look at different shape, and I look at them and go, my God, they've got amazing legs, amazing this, but it is just kind of what they're born with. To some extent, yes, I might put some work in, but there's also some things you just cannot change about yourself.
Well, I was not born with this body. I know that much. Well, Andrew, he saw me.
Nor was shape. There's nothing I can do about my. Even when I have lost weight in the past, I've still got very thick legs. I've just got I'm just that built that way. And I look at someone else, we might be exactly the same weight, but they've got amazing legs. And you look and think, well, there's nothing I can do about that. So some of it, as you were describing them, the way that they're eating, it's just a genetic thing. He was just obviously born lucky with the way that he can.
People can definitely, lose weight. I don't want people listening thinking, oh, well, see, it's just my shape. I'm just like this.
No. I mean,
right.
it's
just big bone.
Just big bone, when in actual fact I'm not.
I've got a lot of fat on my body, but underneath the fat, which I can do something about, I could and can and will work hard to get rid of. But what I'm trying to say is that there's also some things that you have to just come to an acceptance of. There's some things you cannot change.
Right.
You know, it's just that's the way it is.
Size of your foot.
You can. Yeah, exactly. Although that does change when you've lost weight, haven't you? If you notice that, if you've lost a lot of weight, you suddenly get a smaller shoe size, which is odd. You would never think you carry fat on your feet, would you?
Huh.
But you do.
I don't know.
I've never experienced that.
Have you not? I guess women's shoes maybe are different, where they're kind of more pointed and things. I can definitely wear a smaller shoe when I lost weight. Yeah.
I don't know. I've been a size 10.
Not that that's the thing that I'm looking forward to the most in my life.
God, I think, for me, it's coming to terms with the emotional aspect, because the penny dropped when I thought, okay, when I moved to Canada, I started putting on weight. Different lifestyle, yes, and just still eating the same amount of food, not exercising as much. But then every time I've moved, I've put on weight. So now in reverse, my goals, breaking my big goal down into smaller goals, are going backwards. So, my first one is reaching the weight that I was when I lived in Florida, which was, before we moved to Indianapolis. And then before that, it was Minnesota. Then before that, it was Montana. Before that, it was Canada. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go back that way till eventually it'll be the Aussie weight. But I have to. That's how I've broken it down like that. But what I've learnt, and I don't know if this is the same like for you or for men, that there's like that emotional side of it. Like I just thought, I never would have thought I was an emotional eater. I just thought that I liked food and I didn't exercise enough, because of my knees. But I've learnt that there is, stuff in my past that I've had to deal with and face, and just understand why it happened to begin with. And I think for a lot of people, they can go on the best diet in the world, if the weight gain came from an emotional place, that until they've dealt with that, then it's just going to keep happening. But I don't know, like, if it's the same for a lot of men who have put on weight, if they also have that, like, some sort of an emotional thing that's happened, whether it be in their past or just emotions in general.
Men usually drink their emotions away.
Yeah, really, hey? Think in general they do that, yeah.
Yeah, have a beer. I've had a shit day at work, I'm going to have a beer.
Right. Whereas women find more comfort in food, generally.
Yeah.
You think?
In my experience, I can think of not so much that I would know that the reasons, an emotional reason why a man has gained weight, but a bit like you were just described, that you sort of had a bit of a, right, this is a moment in the sand because you had your children and you wanted to be healthy enough to run around with them when they were younger and things.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen to men, that they suddenly have got this reason, so that it's an emotional reason for making the change is what I've experienced, rather than the emotional reason of why they got there to start with. I've definitely seen that, and I've seen them sort of say, well, I want to get my health better because I want to be able to live longer, to be with my kids or run around with my kids or whatever those reasons are. So that's interesting. Yeah. I've seen the emotional trigger for change in men, for sure, definitely.
Do you think...
Yeah, I think everyone gets a bit more conscious of it too around my age. Like, I've lost a number of friends, a few years older and a few years younger than me, and they weren't the healthiest men going around, and they could have made better choices. And they were one of them was carrying an enormous amount of weight. He was probably about 160, 170 kilos, but you get a bit. It does. Give you a flash moment. You think, well, hang on.
Bit of a kick up the arse.
Yeah. It gives you a bit of a bit more purpose in what you're doing, and hang on, you're not here for. It's no dress rehearsal. Let's just try and correct a few things.
Do you think that it's talked about enough or as much, men's like health and weight? I know women will share that. Like Sarah and I'll text each other when we have a weigh-in, how'd you go this week, that type of thing. I mean, and, we talk about it quite openly because we have a podcast about it. But, I mean, do you think men do that? Do men do that? No. They don't. They just keep it to yourself.
Other men, you like, if I don't know, I think the English humour is very, very similar to Australian humour or vice versa. But, if you've put on the kilos and haven't seen a mate for a while, they'll virtually, the first thing they say is, geez, you've been in a good paddock for the last 6 months. And,
can you imagine a woman saying that to her friend? I've been joining your food lately. Yeah. It's funny how it's handled.
You've eaten a sheep.
It's funny how it's handled differently, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Men and women putting on weight.
Well, it's not a taboo subject. For somehow, it's a taboo subject
with women.
You wouldn't, like you just said, you wouldn't say that to someone else. You'd be like, don't ever say that to a woman if she's gained weight it's something to be embarrassed about. But for a guy, all right, they may not be happy with the fact that they've gained weight, but they don't seem to be embarrassed by it, and certainly there's no embarrassment between one bloke to another talking about it. So that's interesting. I haven't thought of that. There is a bit of a taboo, isn't there?
Yeah, and I don't think there's any vanity attached to it with men.
Yeah.
You don't think so? No. Not like with women.
But then also that's a society-based thing, isn't it? Society put a lot of pressure on women to be thin, whereas all right, there's a society expectation for a bloke to look buff, or if they're young and six-pack and ripped for the beach, all that sort of stuff. But actually, the run of the mill, there isn't as much pressure for a bloke to look a certain way, I don't think.
Well, they're glorifying the dad bod now, which is good.
Yeah,
no, it's
you can
not.
Get dad bod t-shirts.
Yeah, they had our morning breakfast show here not so long ago had the best dad bod in Australia competition.
Oh God!
Did you enter?
No. I'm too bumped.
Something I was interested. You've got two boys, right? If you've got two boys, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have that sort of conversation with them with regards to what they're eating and their weight or their health or anything like that? And do you think that they emulate you at all?
No, I don't think they're my children. There's more fat on a chip than there is on my kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially my youngest is the same height as me. He's going to be taller than me by the end of the year. He's just turned, he's 14 and a bit.
Wow.
But he eats. Do you have Milo over there? The chocolate, it's like a chocolate energy type.
So good.
No.
Yeah, so he'll have a kilo of Milo in a week. I've never seen anyone consume it like he does. And
was it like a chocolate spread?
No, it goes in cold milk or hot milk.
It's like an instant milkshake sort of thing, but
it's way better.
It's supposed to have health benefits.
Right.
And it has like crispy bits that float on top that are just delicious. And then you scoop it all out with a spoon, and then you got to put more in. No, it's very good. It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
So,
yeah,
we leave a shovel in the kitchen so he can fill his glass. So
but at that age he's growing a lot, so that will be part of it.
Yeah, but I was never there, so they are skin and bone.
Okay.
And they eat, though, don't they? They like it.
My oldest is filling out a lot now because he's going through that age where the shoulders get wider and the back gets the V and all that. But he's very, very extremely sporty. But I mean, this is probably a conversation for another episode if you like. But he's a diabetic, so he's got to be very careful about what he eats.
Ah, okay.
We are doing an episode on diabetes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's. But they're definitely. I don't know if it's a genetic thing that's disappeared from our bloodline. My sister's daughter's the same. My sister's had fought with weight fluctuations over the years.
She's lost a lot of weight though, hasn't she?
Yeah. But her daughter's the same. She's only got one stripe on her pajamas. She's really skinny.
Slim.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So whereas my son was chunkier. So he's 6'1" and a bit, but he lost 3.5 stone last year. But he never was able to run because his knees hurt so badly But then part of the training is he's now a boxer, so he trains regularly with the boxing club and also runs. But he can run now because that extra weight has gone off his knee. So it has such a vicious cycle, doesn't it? The more weight you're carrying, the less mobile you are, but which means you're going to not get the weight shifted. And I think you've just got to go through that physical pain sometimes to I don't mean damage yourself, but, go through that process of just getting it shifted through a lot more movement and exercise. And he still amazes me. It's not that far as such, but he'll go out in the morning for a quick 5K run. And I'm like thinking, who are you? It's only 2 years ago. I could barely get him out of his bed. It's amazing the difference that it can make. And I'm tough for him because he's just about to turn 18. So at his age, this is exactly the time to get a grasp of your health so that then hopefully his adult life will be a lot more informed and have that as a foundation.
Yes, and it gives him a bit of confidence too. If he's happy in his own skin now, he will be forever, and he'll be able to maintain that. And
I think it's taught him what we're trying to get to the nub of now was the fact that if he's gained a few or a couple of kilos or something, he's like, oh right, I've enjoyed myself, but I'm going to now nip that in the bud. And he's off his own accord, he'll start going, I'm going to run a bit more, I'm going to cut back a bit more, and then he just gets it sorted again. So that's the bit that feel quite confident about. He seemed to have learnt the way to control it and not let it get out of control again, because he knows how hard he had to work to get rid of it. And I think that's what we're now experiencing. We're having to do the hard work now, but what would be really great is if when we've got to the end of that hard work section is we've learned how to just maintain this. It's going to fluctuate a little bit, but not to get back into this situation again, because that's
where it just seems so monumental.
We've got the tools to manage it now.
Yeah, exactly. So
but if he's serious, I mean, if he's, I don't know, is he fighting or just training?
No, he's
actually
fighting.
No, he'll lose 3 or 4 kilos in a fight. So.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult sport because weight is so critical.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can, in this corner between 18 and 20 stone is so-and-so. You've got to be bang on your weight.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you meal plan when you, like every week, do you think, okay, well, we're going to, or you or Jane, do you do that?
We've become more conscious of doing that just for the simple fact that we share the shopping and we end up buying the same stuff. I'll go one day and then Jane will come home and say, oh, I didn't know you already bought that. And we've got 2 or 3 of the stuff. So
things have gone up too. Food's gone up a lot.
Things have gone
especially,
up.
it's so expensive in Australia. I mean, one blueberry's like $5.
What is one blueberry?
Yeah, that's what I say to my sister. When she's having breakfast, I'm like, oh, God, there's about $25 worth of raspberries. She's got 9 raspberries.
She can because she's flush, but we can't. We've got to cut them in half and make it last 2 days.
Make it last longer. Yeah. So do you shop? You don't shop do a big shop. You just shop every day.
No, we probably because we've got a shopping centre not far, and when Jane comes home from work, she drives past 2 shopping centres. So
she just drops in.
We'll duck in and just get the essentials. But we do a meal plan. We'll say, okay, it's a bolognese night. We try and do 1 or 2 vegetarian nights.
Okay, that's good.
Have a rest, but but garlic. What do you have? Burnt butter, garlic, and sage gnocchi, something like that.
With a big salad or something. Or no?
Yeah.
That sounds good. So, do you find that if you do plan, your lunches, even though you're home for lunch, but if you do plan, does that sort of keep you on track a little bit better?
Financially, it does, and controlling what we eat, it does too. Yeah, so it has 2 effects.
That's good. Yeah. So, what's cooking this week for everybody?
Oh, you're right.
Okay.
I was going to tell you because when you flick around on Facebook, these little recipes pop up from time to time. So I'm going to make a salmon Wellington this weekend.
Oh, that sounds good. Ooh. Oh, yeah, that sounds good. There was, when I worked for the Woman's Weekly, there was one that we did that instead of being coated in the mushrooms had like sautéed leek with some dill and some panko breadcrumbs, and then you coat it in that, and then I think it had horseradish too, and then wrap it in the pastry.
Yeah, this one you wilt some spinach and then you blitz it and then add it to like make an omelette, a spinach omelette, and then you wrap that around the salmon and then with the mushroom and the pastry. So
really, that sounds good. That was the thing you saw on Facebook.
Yeah, I thought that looks good. I'll make that. So
okay, you'll have to let me know how that went.
So I know salmon's quite readily available in the UK, but we get a lot of the Atlantic salmon here, but we also get the Australian salmon.
From Tassie.
Yeah. But there's a big difference you can tell the difference when you look at the two pieces of fish straight away, because the Atlantic salmon's got really, really small scales because it grows slower.
Mm-hmm.
Where because the water's warmer down here, the scales are quite large because they grow really quickly.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting.
Does it taste any different?
No, it's still beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
I think
it's good. It's so good for you. It's one of the best things you can eat. Like the wild caught. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, but we generally just have we'll have like a pork and a beef night, and then we'll do like a vegetarian night. We have you got Aldi over in the UK?
We sure do.
So they've good, different. If the same promotions used over there.
That's Aldi for the Americans listening. I've only ever known it as to be Aldi because it was never in Australia when I left. For me to call it Aldi. Yeah,
they've some really good things. They sell a really, really well priced Greek spinach pie.
Oh, like a spanakopita type thing.
Spanakopita, yeah. So we.
I've not heard of that.
That's the American and the Australian version, spanakopita and spanakopita. Yeah, that's like aluminum and aluminium. It's like that.
It's spinach and feta,
some lemon
pie and phyllo pastry.
Yeah, really good.
So that could be a vegetarian night.
Oh, nice. I like things like that because then you can just have a salad with them. Like people think, pies are so are fattening because of the pastry, but you can put like lots of veggies in them and then just have a really big salad. I love anything. Yeah. I love anything in pastry. Oh my goodness, that's
or frittatas. Make a frittata if you don't want the pastry.
Right? Yeah. What's cooking in Sarah's kitchen this week?
Well, I haven't really planned a huge amount because I'm away all of the weekend because my parents are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary this weekend. So that's really exciting. So we're going away to a lovely hotel and all of the family are convening from different places across the UK and friends and things. So we've got a really, really lovely weekend coming up. And I've also got a delicious 4-course meal arranged for the Saturday night. So we're all eating together in a private room and everything. So
that sounds wonderful.
I can report back on some delicious food cooked for me, which is the most exciting. So I don't have to do anything. But so I haven't really got much planned. I have been eating a lot of vegetarian still this week. Really enjoyed that, and lots of salmon. I've been having salmon or tuna for my lunch pretty much every day. So
that's good.
Yeah, but nothing. So I haven't planned anything for the rest of the week. I need to, because obviously there's more to my week than just 3 days in a hotel. But apart from that, I haven't thought about it.
Do you have a not overindulging plan, or are you just going to go with it and enjoy it?
I pre-ordered my meal because it's a big party. They asked us to choose from the menu early. So I know that I didn't go too overboard on that. I think I've chosen a really lovely asparagus risotto for my main course and things like that.
That's good.
But yeah, I wasn't planning on massively overindulging. But, things pop up. Who knows?
Right. I know I wasn't on Monday night when I went out either.
Are you going to have a little confessional?
I'm going to have a confessional. Yeah. Well, I had, and I think this is my downfall is I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just have this and just have that and 1 glass of wine. If I say that, then I do completely the opposite.
That's
I think
what you said last week. You said,
I need to just not say that because I ended up having a lot to drink and a lot for me because I don't drink much nowadays. And the biggest steak on the menu, which in America is big, let me tell you. Granted, I didn't eat it all. I brought half of it home, but and Lawrence took it to work. But I tell you, it was the best steak I've ever eaten.
Well, it was worth it then.
It was so good. And I had asparagus and whatnot with it, but still. Anyway, it was just, I just overindulged. But I balanced it out for the rest of the week. But this week...
Well, that's what it's about, though, isn't it? As long
balancing
as you create balance,
it.
You've got to have the good
trying
stuff.
to. Yeah. Yeah. And we shared, 4 of us shared a dessert, so...
4 people share one dessert?
Well, yeah, because I thought, I'm not having dessert. And because it was for Evan's graduation, that my youngest stepson graduated from... Because he's studying to be a doctor, so he graduated from the first part of that. And with like the highest honours you could get, so we had to take him out and celebrate. He lives in a different state, so he just happened to be here. So we took him out, and his stepmom, she graduated. She celebrated for him. Really, yeah.
He just went for it.
I went for it. Yeah. But in my kitchen this week, it's all about strawberries. I've been testing strawberry recipes. So I tested a pickled strawberry crostini with goat cheese. And let me tell you, it might sound a bit but like pickled strawberries. Yes.
In what? Pickled in vinegar?
So I pickled them in vinegar and white balsamic with a little sugar, which I used that monk fruit sugar. So it was, lower carb. My job put in on bread. But, it's so good. So because, strawberries are good in a salad and they're really good with balsamic vinegar. So, I got some bread and toasted it, grilled it, and then put goat cheese on it, like the creamy goat cheese on it with the pickled strawberries. Oh, yeah. So good. Anyway, so I'm having that again because I'm shooting it to put on my website. That and a really good watermelon, strawberry, basil, and blue cheese salad that was just with some lime juice. So easy and really, really good. And a cake. Strawberry polenta cake. Yeah, with really not that much sugar in it, I have to say. It's got cornmeal in it. So that I did taste that, but the rest I cut up and put in the freezer. So doing that and working on some air fryer recipes because I use the air fryer a lot, as you know. And I made a salad the other day that I think I need to share with the world because it was just so good with roasted sweet potato, kumaras, Aussies call it. With lots of nuts and seeds and baby spinach, and it was so delicious. So I'm doing that and some drumsticks.
Are you on the air fryer train over in Australia, Andrew, or not?
Actually, I bought one I was in Audi, and it was in their leftovers from their special buy bin.
Result.
Have you used it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love them.
So it goes against everything else. Do you know what I really love?
Right. What?
I love Chico rolls.
Oh, good grief. Like, nobody even knows what a Chico... even Australians don't really know what a Chico roll is.
Yes, we do.
It's
very
cabbage.
70s and 80s.
It's cabbage, basically.
It's like a big spring roll.
That's fried. But it's got a different texture to the outside of it. Yeah,
it's got a heavier, thicker pastry on it.
And it's got like a cabbage pasty stuff in the middle.
Yeah, cabbage and carrot and corn and...
So it's a bit like a Cornish pasty?
No, not like a pasty, because a pasty's
really manufactured,
lighter.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's everything in a vegetable processing plant that fell on the floor in a pastry.
It's like It's like the hot dogs of like a vegetable hot, like if you think of it like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to do some recipes next week for the air fryer that you'll have to look. Like potatoes, you know how we have potatoes in the jacket, we call them in Australia. Here they're called baked potato. And you cut them in half and you do them in the air fryer. Oh, they're so good. So I'm doing that with chicken drumsticks and an orange chicken, like the Asian orange chicken. Instead of frying the chicken, it's going to be done in the air fryer. But I do bacon, I toast nuts, all sorts of things, so you don't actually have to turn the oven on.
The 10-minute frittata in the air fryer?
I haven't done that. Did you put it in like ramekins?
No, I just make a cup out of baking paper and throw it in there, and
oh really?
Just put a couple of eggs, whisk it up, some spinach and a few mushrooms, and
well, that sounds good. Okay, well I'll have to try that. You can boil eggs in there too, not boil eggs, but you just put the eggs in dry and cook them.
I just feel like I'm not part of the gang.
I know.
I'm just not part of the gang. I don't have
one. It's the new day microwave.
Yeah, perhaps I'll get rid of the microwave and put the air fryer in its place then.
I don't know. It's so good, especially in summer. It just
reduces your bench space like everything else.
Right. Yeah. I know, but I found that was my one thing about not getting it was the bench space, but I made room. I just and now I just love it. Hey, Sarah, your goal last week was to lose a pound. How did you do?
I did it. Woohoo!
Well done.
I did it. Yep.
I lost.
Well chuffed. And go on then.
No, go on. No, finish.
No, I was just saying I did it by just really focusing on the pound. So I'd lost 2 the week before, and then one this week. So, and I just really focused on that one. That's all I needed to get rid of.
Sarah and I laugh about how like 1 pound, good poop, 1 pound gone.
Yeah,
you know, but still, it's so much better than saying I'm going to lose 4 pounds and. It seems, not doing it. I lost 3.7.
Small achievables.
Yeah.
3.7. That's
3.7.
Massive
just
blowout.
in 1 week. Yeah. So I thought I was pretty chuffed with that. Yeah. Okay, so next week we are talking about gut health. You hear a lot about it. It's all over the place, really, and ways to improve it and why the health of your gut is so important. So tune in for that. Thanks for coming on, Andrew. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. As always, thank you so much for listening. Please send us a message if there's a subject you'd like us to talk about. Visit lovoniandsarah.com to subscribe to our weekly newsletter and find the links to connect with us on social media. Remember, creating a balance for your health is a conscious choice. It means having the intention and taking action to make your health a priority. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.